This time I yield to the gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Garrett, who's the ranking member of the Capital Markets Subcommittee, for 2 minutes.
The gentleman is recognized for 2 minutes.
And thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Chairman. I rise in opposition to this job-killing continuation of a bailout bill. And you know, earlier the Chairman Frank said that he was astonished by our interpretation this is a bailout bill. Well, what is even more astonishing is the fact that this is the same chairman who was here earlier, our last session, leading the effort in our last bailout bill. And here he is once again leading the effort on this bill for a continuation of bailout. What is perhaps even more astonishing than that is that here he stands as the author of the bill with the 2,300 pages in front of him, holding up and actually reading the bill, and he fails to see that this underlying piece of legislation continues to bail out creditors at the expense of U.S. taxpayers. Just as we saw with the situation of AIG, where the creditors on Wall Street and the creditors over in China, in such areas as that, were bailed out at 100%, we see the same thing possibly going forward here in this legislation as well. Perhaps that explains to us all why Wall Street is applauding this bill, because they know that they will continue to see the bailouts that they saw in the past. So it is astonishing to see that we're repeating history. Now, I know the chairman will say, well, this is not going to happen because there is the opportunity for receivership. But the chairman well knows, if he looks into the bill, but that receivership is not for a day or two, it's for a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years that we can continue to see American taxpayers putting out their money to bail out these failed, risky institutions. You know, it seems that every term that the Democrats who wrote this bill chose to endow the same failed regulators who failed to foresee the last crisis with more and more power. At every single turn, the Democrats chose more government bureaucracy and more government outreach into our economy. And at every turn, the Democrats drew up policies that will kill jobs and restrict credit. Now, on the one hand, this isn't surprising. We've seen this all before when you think about it, whether it was in the area of cap and trade or in health care proposals, among others. We saw it before. On the other hand, it is disappointing that we have...
I yield the gentleman an extra minute and a half.
Oh. Gentleman is recognized for a minute and a half.
On the other hand, it is disappointing when you consider the history of the failed efforts in the area of health care, or the failed efforts on the other side in the area of tax and cap and tax, that they haven't learned by now from their past mistakes. Think about it for a moment. Think about what we hear when we go back to our districts, that the American people are delivering a strong message to those of us in Washington willing to listen. A message saying that they do not want a continuation, Mr. Chairman, of the failed policies that you brought to the floor in the past with your bailouts of Wall Street. The American people say that they do not want to be on the hook for the tens, no, the hundreds of billions of dollars to bail out institutions on Wall Street that made bad risks. They want it to end now, and they want it ended today. They want less failed government overreach into their lives and into the economy. They do not want institutions yet again created that can look at every single transaction, that they make, whether it's at the ATM, that the government now can look down into those transactions, whether it's over opening up a credit card account someplace, that the federal government can now look into those transactions, whether it's any transaction whatsoever that you or I make, or anyone listening to this program tonight, this speech tonight, will be able to make, because bureaucrats, unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats, will be able to look into those transactions. They want less failed government overreach into their lives. They want less intrusions into the economy. What you ask them, do they want? They simply want more opportunities, opportunities to work and to provide for their families. And they want those opportunities without pushing our country into greater debt.
Time expired.
Unfortunately, this bill fails on all accounts.
Gentleman from Massachusetts.